This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. European automakers and their suppliers have had enough of the EU's strict CO2 standards and want immediate relief. They point out that they've invested more than 250 billion euros in EVs and launched hundreds of electric models. But they don't see how they're going to be able to cut CO2 emissions 55% by 2030 or 100% by 2035. EV market share in Europe is stuck at 15%. Vans are at 9%, and trucks are only at 3.5%. The industry is telling government leaders and regulators that they have to put their idealism aside and deal with geopolitical realities. Europe has become dependent on China for its EV supply chain, and it now has to pay 6 times higher tariffs to sell cars in the United States, which is one of its greatest sources of profits. They say the world has changed since those CO2 regulations were written, and they complain that the EU is trying to achieve its CO2 goal only by regulating the auto industry. Stellantis was hit with a hefty fine for missing fuel economy targets in the U.S. NHTSA said the automaker paid nearly $191 million in penalties for not meeting the standards for the 2019 and 2020 model years. Since 2018, Stellantis has been fined more than $773 million for not being compliant. But the automaker is about to get some relief soon. Last month, the Trump administration removed penalties for missing fuel economy targets back to the 2022 model year, and also ended fines for not meeting the standards moving forward. Mitsubishi is struggling. The automaker just lowered its operating profit forecast for its current fiscal year by 30%. Mitsubishi previously estimated an operating profit of $675 million, but it has now cut that to $475 million. The automaker blames U.S. tariffs, weak demand, and increasing selling costs for the cut. And not surprisingly, investors didn't like that news, and its shares fell 2% after it made the announcement. Here's something we think we're going to see a lot more of. Chinese EV maker Xpeng's vice president posted a video to social media showing its new P7 model driving from the production line to the shipping area of its factory without a human driver on board. Xpeng isn't the first to do this. Tesla started autonomously driving vehicles from the production line to the loading dock at its plants in California and Texas earlier this year. And just a few months ago, Elon Musk announced that Tesla delivered its first vehicle, a Model Y, from its plant in Texas to a customer's home autonomously.
Performance that shines, even in the rain. That's what really matters. Bridgestone Potenza tires, improved grip in wet conditions.
Volkswagen revealed the all-new version of the T-Roc, which is a pretty important model for the brand, with a little under 300,000 units sold to customers in Europe last year. It now rides on the updated version of the group's combustion car platform called MQB Evo, which gives it access to a number of hardware and software improvements. That includes a large center floating display screen and the newest version of VW's hands-free driving system called Travel Assist that now has auto lane change capability as well. The new T-Roc is 12 centimeters or 4.7 inches longer than the outgoing model, which was used to increase rear seat legroom and cargo space. Going forward, only turbocharged hybrid powertrains will be offered. A 1.5-liter engine with 48-volt mild hybrid technology and in 2 power outputs will be available at launch. However, those will be followed by a 2-liter with mild hybrid tech and 2 full hybrid drives, which VW claims have been developed entirely from scratch. All engines are mated to a 7-speed DCT, and all-wheel drive is offered on the 2-liter setup. The new T-Roc will continue to be made in Portugal, and sales kick off this November in Germany with a starting price of about 31,000 euros. J.D. Power put out its 10th annual Tech Experience Index, which looks at 40 automotive technologies and measures how much users like or don't like those features based on a 1,000-point scale. Genesis ranked the highest overall with a score of 538, which also put it at the top of the premium list. Tesla and Rivian would have ranked higher, but they don't provide as much data as the other automakers, so J.D. Power doesn't officially place them on the list. In terms of mass market brands, Hyundai came out on top with a score of 493. Customers especially like technology that makes their lives easier, including smart doors that open as you approach and in-car payments for things like EV charging, paying for gas, parking, or tolls. But they don't like recognition technologies as much, like driver monitoring, touchless controls, and face, fingerprint, or voice authentication. Cadillac selected the drivers for its Formula One team, Valtteri Bottas from Finland and Sergio Perez from Mexico. While a lot of Americans were expecting Cadillac to name at least one American driver to its team, choosing Bottas and Perez makes a lot of sense. Both of them have a tremendous amount of F1 experience, having run hundreds of races, landed on dozens of podiums, and racked up 16 wins. For a brand new team with a brand new car, that experience will pay off. Also, why is Cadillac in Formula One? Well, it's to sell cars, and its greatest opportunity for growth is in the countries where F1 races. Sergio Perez has a massive amount of fans in Mexico, but also throughout South America. Bottas has tons of fans in Europe, Australia, and Asia. And so the decision to go with these drivers is not just a racing decision for Cadillac, it's a marketing one too. When Tesla launched the new 3-row long wheelbase version of the Model Y in China, it was criticized by bloggers for lack of space in the third row. Those bloggers got enough public attention that Tesla's VP of Public Relations and Marketing in China decided they better fire back. She posted a video on Weibo showing 6 men getting into and sitting in a Model YL. They're over 1.8 meters tall, or about 6 feet, and weigh 75 to 95 kilograms, or 165 to about 209 pounds. But the video was immediately attacked. It looks like the front seat passengers have their seats so far forward that their knees almost touch the dashboard. Second row passengers have to move their legs to the side to fit in, and the heads of third row passengers looked like they would touch the rear hatch. We'd say the only way to see how this gets settled is to watch how well the Model YL sells. Nissan says it used a world's first automotive application to improve its engine efficiency to 42%. It's called cold spray technology, and instead of using a pressed-in valve seat on the intake side of the engine, a powdered material is sprayed directly onto the cylinder head surface at supersonic speeds to form a solid coating for the valve to seat against. Nissan says this allowed it to optimize the shape of the intake port, which reduces turbulence as air is sucked into the engine, and the better airflow also improves cooling around the valve. The cold spray technology is now being applied to the Automakers' 1.5-liter engine that was exclusively designed to be used with its e-Power hybrid powertrain. And that setup is currently available in the new Qashqai, which went into production in July. But that brings us to the end of today's show. Thanks for tuning in.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. CSP, the composites solution partner. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering, boost your game. And thanks to the following YouTube and Patreon members.
Developing today's vehicles. Issues can happen in an instant. When's the best time to solve a problem? The minute you know you have one. Meet Wireless NeoVi Cloud, your secure, off-the-shelf solution empowering real-time collaboration for quick resolution. With Wireless NeoVi Cloud, your team can prevent issues before they can escalate. driver communication data, and remote diagnostics to analyze and resolve your problems using OTA, allowing your executives oversight throughout the process. Wireless NeoVi Cloud, your vehicle update solution in production and on the road. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.
At CSP, we work with OEM engineers across the country on their journeys to lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly vehicles. Learn more at thecsp.com.